Welcome to a special deep dive. Today, we're really digging into a conversation that's incredibly important and often, frankly, overlooked. We're talking about the remarkable strength and spirit of Black men. We've pulled together a really rich collection of sources, and they shine a light on how resilience isn't just, an inherent trait, but something dynamic, a practiced art for so many.
Yeah, what truly jumps out from these sources, I think, is how they move beyond just acknowledging the hardships, which is
Yeah.
important, of course, but they actively explore the innovative, sometimes really brilliant strategies that allow Black men to cultivate joy, find purpose, even when confronting just relentless challenges. So our mission today, really, is to uncover these pathways not just to surviving, but to genuinely thriving.
That's it, exactly. We'll be exploring those intense external pressures, the deeply personal internal battles, too, and the profound strategies, some obvious, some more subtle, that empower Black men to continually push forward. Like you said, it's not just about what they endure, it's about the sheer ingenuity of how they keep going. Before we dive into those incredible strategies, our sources make it abundantly clear we first need to grapple with the sheer scale of the challenges. What were some of the most striking pressures highlighted in the research you saw?
It's truly like a complex landscape.
Hmm.
I mean, if we zoom out a bit, the sources often describe it as navigating this unique labyrinth. That's the phrase they use. A labyrinth of societal pressures and, importantly, systemic inequities.
Systemic, right? Not just individual attitudes.
Exactly. When you talk about systemic racism and discrimination, they're pointing to deep, entrenched policies, practices in legal systems, employment, housing, healthcare, education, things that inherently disadvantage certain groups. One source, for instance, vividly described how just applying for a simple mortgage can become this whole emotional gauntlet, burdened by historical redlining, and that impacts not just finances, but like mental well-being for years.
Wow.
Imagine the spiritual toll, the motivational toll of constantly hitting those kinds of invisible barriers.
Yeah. And it certainly doesn't stop there. Our sources really underscore the economic disparities, too. We're talking about the enduring wealth gap, right? Significant hurdles in entrepreneurship, and that immense pressure, often unspoken, to be the primary provider in communities that are consistently under-resourced.
Right? It's like every dollar earned often has to stretch further.
Yeah.
And every business idea just faces a steeper uphill battle from the get-go. Then there's the pervasive mental health stigma. This is a big one in the sources. They explain it isn't just a general reluctance to seek help, like we see elsewhere. It's a deeply ingrained cultural pressure for Black men to always appear strong. Always.
The strong, silent type expectation.
Precisely. One study we looked at highlighted men in a barbershop sharing vulnerabilities they've never expressed anywhere else. One guy even called it emotional weightlifting, not just talking. That really stuck with me.
That's powerful.
And this is often compounded by a healthcare system that maybe doesn't fully understand or adequately cater to their specific needs, which, understandably, can lead to a profound distrust sometimes.
And we can't overlook the negative stereotypes and media portrayals either, that constant battle.
Absolutely. It's this fight against harmful narratives that, chip away at self-worth and, crucially, shape how the world perceives them. The sources really emphasize how these images on screen in news headlines, they're not just annoying. They're deeply damaging.
Yeah, they have real-world consequences.
Without a doubt. And finally, for far too many, community violence and trauma, whether it's direct exposure or indirect, it's just a lived, constant reality. The sources don't shy away from describing this as a daily burden. It impacts safety, peace of mind, long-term well-being.
It's heavy. The sources consistently describe this, like you said earlier, not as one single blow, but more like 1,000 paper cuts. That accumulation over time can feel truly debilitating. So with that constant pressure, it really begs the question, how do you maintain hope? How do you keep that purpose when you're constantly fighting upstream?
Okay, so it's at this point, right, after really understanding those challenges, that the sources pivot to something truly inspiring. The strategies for thriving. This is where we get into the actionable stuff, the internal grit, the external supports that empower Black men to not just endure, but to genuinely flourish.
Yeah, this section is fantastic. It absolutely highlights the intentional choices and the robust community strengths that are often overlooked. The sources detail several key areas. A really critical one is spiritual and faith-based resilience. We see the vital role of the church, sure, but also broader spiritual practices, and just faith itself in providing grounding, unwavering hope, and that essential community connection.
A sanctuary, really.
It is a literal sanctuary for many, yeah. And speaking of connection, brotherhood and mentorship come up again and again.
Oh, definitely. The profound power of that male bonding, both informal and formal. Think about spaces like barbershops, you mentioned them earlier. They're often described in the sources as these therapeutic havens,
Hmm.
places where men can actually drop their guard.
Right.
And beyond that, other black men serving as essential lifelines through community organizations, mentoring programs. It's a whole network of mutual support.
That makes sense. And what about internal shifts? Is there a change in how masculinity itself is viewed?
That's another key thing the sources point to, a powerful shift happening in redefining masculinity. It seems to be moving away from that rigid stoicism we talked about towards embracing emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
fostering vulnerability when it's safe to do so, of course, and prioritizing self-care.
So expanding what strength looks like.
Exactly. Expanding what it means to be strong, to be a man, beyond just, physical toughness or silence.
And that seems like it ties directly into this idea of purpose-driven action and community engagement.
Absolutely. Finding deep meaning in contributing, whether it's to family, community, social justice causes, that is shown to be a powerful fuel. Fighting for something larger than oneself, as these sources show, can be this profound wellspring of resilience, a real reason to keep pushing forward.
Okay. What else? Are there other outlets?
Yes, creative expression and hobbies emerge as essential too. Things like music, art, writing, sports, other passions. They aren't just pastimes. The sources frame them as vital forms of release, of healing, and identity affirmation. There are spaces for self-discovery, maybe reclaiming narratives.
That's interesting, finding your voice literally or figuratively.
Right. And then, despite those significant systemic barriers we discussed, there's this clear, powerful determination around financial literacy and building generational wealth.
Mm.
Our sources highlight not just the ambition, which is huge, but also really innovative approaches. Things like communal crowdfunding within Black communities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, demonstrating this entrepreneurial spirit that finds ways to push past traditional financial systems that maybe weren't built for them.
It's about creating a better future for their families against the odds.
Definitely. And another area showing remarkable growth is the acceptance of therapy and mental wellness.
Yeah.
The sources point to a growing understanding of the importance of professional mental health support and a deliberate, active effort to break the stigma associated with it.
Which is huge, given what you said earlier about the pressure to be strong.
It is huge. It's about recognizing that seeking help is actually a strength, not a weakness. And importantly, it's not just about finding any therapist. It's about finding culturally competent care. Someone who understands the unique historical and social context impacting Black men's mental health. Like a provider who gets the cultural pressure to appear strong, or maybe the distrust stemming from past medical injustices.
That cultural competency piece feels critical.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And finally, just the basic but crucial self-care practices.
And when the sources talk about self-care, we're not just talking bubble baths, right?
No, probably not exclusively, though maybe sometimes. But mostly, they're highlighting practices like consistent exercise, healthy eating, trying to get sufficient rest, and critically, setting healthy boundaries, protecting one's energy and well-being consciously.
It's truly remarkable hearing the depth of this determination, all these strategies layered together. Connecting this to real life, one source profiled this guy, commuted 2 hours each way, worked a demanding job, and still was deeply present for his kids, leading study groups, volunteering at school.
Wow.
Or you think about the entrepreneur facing constant loan rejections, but finds ways to innovate with community investment and just keeps pushing. What fundamentally from the sources seems to drive that profound inner strength to do all of that?
That's a great question. And it raises a really important point the sources make repeatedly. It's not just about individual strength, is it? It's so often about the collective, the community, the village.
Right.
So that leads to the next question. What can we as a broader community do to better support Black men? The sources offer some truly tangible pathways here.
Okay, so this is where we pivot to action. For listeners thinking, okay, I want to be part of the solution, what does this mean? Our sources lay out several actionable ideas. One key area seems to be amplifying positive narratives.
Yes. Actively countering those negative stereotypes we talked about. Promoting diverse, empowering portrayals of Black men across all platforms. Intentionally seeking out and sharing stories of success, resilience, complexity. Not just the same old tropes.
Makes sense. What else?
Promoting mental health resources is another big one. And again, this isn't just about general awareness. It's about making culturally competent therapy and support groups more accessible and deliberately working to destigmatize their use.
So ensuring the help offered actually resonates, understands the lived experience.
Precisely. And critically, investing in black male initiatives. That means actively supporting programs focused on mentorship, education, entrepreneurship, community development things specifically tailored for black men.
Putting resources directly into solutions created by and for these communities.
You got it. We also need to focus on encouraging safe spaces for vulnerability. Remember the barbershop example. Creating more environments where black men feel genuinely comfortable sharing their struggles without fear of judgment. That's vital.
Building trust, fostering authenticity.
Exactly. And finally, something simpler perhaps, but still important. Just celebrating achievements and milestones. Actively acknowledging and celebrating the successes, the resilience of black men, big or small. It helps rewrite those negative narratives, reinforces their worth.
That makes a lot of sense. And what about allies? People outside the Black community?
Yeah, the sources touch on that too. How can non-black individuals and institutions contribute meaningfully, without resorting to tokenism or just performative activism? The key seems to be through tangible actions that genuinely support these efforts, listening to, elevating, and materially supporting the voices and organizations already doing the work on the ground.
Listening and amplifying, not speaking over.
That's a good way to put it.
Well, we've really taken a deep dive into a profound and essential topic today, the resilience of Black men. It's not just inspiring, it's really a powerful testament to the human spirit's extraordinary capacity to overcome.
Absolutely. And what truly resonates from this deep dive, I think, is that genuine strength often lies not in fighting alone, right? It's in building strong communities, embracing every facet of yourself, and bravely pushing for progress together. This conversation is obviously ongoing, but the insights from these sources give us such a powerful foundation for understanding and hopefully for action.
So as you, our listeners, reflect on this, maybe consider this a final thought. What is one specific, tangible thing you can do this week to support a Black man in your life? Or for your own journey, maybe reflect on how you can bolster your own resilience in a world that, as our sources put it, often just doesn't let up. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep engaging with these vital narratives.